It's probably trying to pull audio from the wrong thing.
So
Whoa.
despite our scuffed start, that's a great way to kick off the season, I gotta say.
Sylveon, thank you. Let's take it from the top, baby.
All
Commentary
right,
reads so
well, let's
bad,
do
can't
back
even hear the
over.
audio. Hey,
All
yo.
right, we'll do the introduction. Such again, boy, this is such a disaster. All right, for the American Region Mahjong League, it is time to get hype. We are ready for the fall season of 2023, but the first thing we always do is go over the summer season. This is Korak. I'm joined by Brett.
Hello and welcome. We are doing this for the first time. It's going off without a hitch, baby.
Yep. Harrison.
Woo! Yeah, this totally isn't the same bit I did 5 minutes ago. Woo! Yeah!
And Nathaniel.
Hey everybody, you can totally blame me for the audio issues, but really looking forward to the
Don't
fall
worry,
season.
we are.
We can blame Windows, don't worry.
Yeah, it's all because of the Windows upgrade. It's okay.
Works on my machine. Oldest phrase in programs. Anyway, so as we were saying, there were originally 2 promotion spots in C1A. See the stats here. Ricky and Andrew got those immediately, but there were a whole bunch of extras open up later with Yushu, Nancy Allen, Vinny getting in guaranteed spots. Garrett and Tomas getting in through the playoff. They had a playoff versus the C1B matchup, but any stats that immediately jump out, everyone?
I was looking at the dealing rate for Andrew and Oliver being the same, both 8.4, but Andrew way up at the top of the standings in second place, and Oliver way down at the bottom at 15th. Just the difference being amount of wins and value of wins.
Oh my god, I'm getting deja vu. I literally thought you said the exact same thing 3 minutes ago when we were muted.
Oh, please. I'm trying to make it feel natural.
Nah, it's
All
crazy
right,
though.
well,
It's good.
we
It's
do
good.
see here, of course, Drew has this very aggressive play style. Ricky has a similar aggressive play style, but again, one won the division, the other sitting down here at 14th. I love the 31.2% reach rate, but you got to actually win those big hands down the line. So a bunch of really big action going on here. Anyone else have anything?
I'm kind of curious to see how these compare to the other pool, the B stats.
Yeah,
All right, well,
I...
let's go ahead and jump over to C1B.
Ooh, what do we got going on here? Hey, that's my girl, Ray, third. God, this league exploded. This is just high highs, low lows.
Yes, in the last one, there was this big
here.
bunch of people around 100 to 160. And then this division, you had 104.4 getting the playoff and then minus 12.
That is...
Yeah.
That's
You had
special.
people just going absolutely ham in this division. 5 people with 27% win rate.
It is worth it to say, though, Tyler C. and Eric N. Wait, does this... I think this counts their playoff
They
games?
got into the playoff. I don't think they made it.
No, but I thought it counted their playoff things for their rank,
yes,
like
it
getting
does
points
include
gained,
the
but I don't
playoff,
know if it does.
because that happens in the same season and is part of the official game. Because
Yeah.
Beta League players only play 20 games unless they're in a playoff.
Wow, speaking of dealing rate, that 6.2% for Adam is insane.
Yeah, I was looking at that, but also this 70.8% call rate and 8.6 reach rate for Ross.
Run it down.
In the 18th.
That's the way to do it.
See shiny button, smash shiny button.
We love the Pwn Cat.
I almost wonder if those are like penalties, because that feels like a ±0 score, right?
For who?
For Ross, or I guess with Sumo, you kind of go down.
No, when you're at
like
2279, that's gonna really sink you. You have the same win rate as deal-in rate, and it's gonna catch up to you eventually. It's really rough with a 2279. So even if you're winning those hands, you're not getting out of third, and end up taking only 4 combined first and seconds out of 20 games. You're gonna suffer.
Yeah, but I think that's got to be a record for participation rate.
Yeah, seriously.
That might do it. Yeah. A1, take notes. That's what you need. Someone's got to break it. 70.9. Yeah.
Next season. Sylvie in chat is looking at the negative 815 EV for Caesar, wondering how it's even possible. And I mean, it really just comes down to the lack of first places, the big chunk of last places. And I think also there's
just a lot of deal-ins, I think, too.
There's another variable here.
26.4 is a lot of deal-ins. I think that was the highest of anyone in any of the divisions. But it had some very interesting wins. The average here didn't end up that great, but Cesar Sono just loves Toy Toy. We'll go for Toy Toy from almost nothing. And has done pretty well with it in other seasons, but not this one so much.
There's a bigger problem here, too. There are 15 games played out of 20. I think they're just a pile of
those were
penalties
definitely
on that
some
score as
penalties.
well.
And I think it just caused a downhill effect. Same thing with Omar, who, if you didn't have those two penalties and had the plus 60, would have been at plus minus 0.1 and would have had a Saki Award winner.
Ooh, Saki.
Yeah, that would have been. Is that the closest? Dude, I don't even want to start when we get to 8.
Yeah, there's some salt in this booth right now.
Shall we check out the B division?
Well, no, we got a C
I think we have some
right?
clips from C1 here, so I'll hand it off to the director.
Clippy.
Yeah, this one is very interesting. You kind of see where it's going, but still 2 in the wall.
Ooh.
And Ninemon just got cut for the first time. There's 3 in the wall. There it is. It's Tempai. And there's the 1-so.
Oh!
Eric!
Oh, no!
Kokshi and Christopher had no idea. Why would that be Tempai? But still 2 in the wall.
And you can
here's the thing. I'm dealing in.
Great draws, great draws, great draws. Surprise 48,000. And there's nothing you can do about it. The 1-so there doesn't look bad. It's just like, really, sitting at 11,000, game's not going great, Therenum won, and then that happens.
No overflow, Kokshi.
2 came out on another. No, there was 1. There was a 9p earlier, but it's like a random 9p earlier. It's like you're dropping simples after. You're like,
you've also just
came out.
This is like it looks like a normal discard.
Right.
That is insane.
90% of players here are dealing in. Yeah, if Reach comes out, you might go.
Yeah, we've actually seen people reach you this in other divisions and other.
No,
seasons,
you can say my name.
What
it's
happens
okay.
is people will run away. We have seen Yakumans avoided because people hit the button on these.
Yep, great play there to dominate that hand, get the 48,000 dealer Yakuman. I think we've got another one from the same division. Oh, I guess we don't. We'll come back to this B3 one later. Should be noted that for this playoff series, it was a 4-game top 2 promote. And I've got the results of the playoffs here. Tomas with a plus 100.9. Garrett plus 85.2. The 2 positive players pretty much dominated that series. And
this was
stole it away.
4 Hanchan?
4 Hanchan.
Yeah, 4 Hanchan. It was top 2 advance. Garrett went out to huge lead after 2 Hanchan. Tomas rolled over the last 2 and ended up taking first here.
Hold my beer.
Promote.
That's my wild. DC Ricci staff member right there.
Congratulations to those 2.
All right, well, now we'll move on to B3. We see a whole bunch of players here. A nice little, when I say little at 24, it's a bit of a joke, but the same type of thing here at the very top, that 27, 28% win rate. A whole bunch of them were 25. The only one that's over 25 that didn't do great is Brett. Brett, what do you have to say for yourself?
Well, I think
called out.
We can see this is weird. None of my other numbers are sticking out. I'm becoming less of an extreme player.
Problem, Brett. Your call rate's not even red. How do you expect to get in promotion if your call rate's not red?
I think what happened to me is I'm prone to 2 things, which are stringing together a bunch of hands and dealing into huge hands. Finding a risky tile, convincing myself it won't deal in, and then just sending it and dealing into Baimon. And that is how I end up negative with a 25.5% win rate.
Well, it'd be like that. Sometimes you check the Baimon and go, it can't be this much of a big hand, right?
Yeah. What is it? What it could be? 2,000 points? Bam.
Yeah, this hidden door will definitely ruin your day.
I'm keeping an eye on Barry. Barry is going to be one of those players that just absolutely bullies through the league, I think. I mean, highest EV in this super inflated, huge, league size with just crazy spread of skill level. And Barry is Barry back up to Ho-Oh yet?
I know Barry's still 6, Dom. He's been fighting over. I'll say B3. For B3 divisions in the past, this was cut.
Kevin's a Ho-Oh too.
Zinlong, Emily, Kevin,
Taka.
Barry, Takahiro, Alon, who was top 32 in WRC. There are a bunch of really tough players here.
Stupidly hard league
flexing
for
that
B3.
top 32 status with a 7,200 average win.
Well, that's how you do it, even with a sub 20 win rate. That's how you get that promotion spot here. But just solid play overall. You look there at these DLN rates, and other than Emily in second with that 15 points ever, they're all very low towards the top.
Mm-hmm.
And then the only exception here is David there in 14th. Again, the same type of thing we saw in the C1 division, that just because you're not dealing in doesn't mean anything. You got to win some of those hands. Those hands you win need to have some value, and that's what happened here. The 4,000 win average probably also took a whole bunch of payments out as dealer with those big sumos from other players, because you're going to have that with people of these 55, 5,800 average wins. You're going to be paying out a bunch.
Yeah, this 39.95. No one else is below 4,100. This is the lowest in the league.
I always like seeing the very aggressive players and seeing where they are. Didn't do too well in B3. We have Aaron with a great call rate, high Ricci rate, and high participation rate. Speaking of, we haven't even gone over what all these stats are. EV's kind of an internal stat that we use, basically summarizes how you should be doing based on your wins. Your win average, it's your win rate times your win average minus your deal-in rate times your deal-in average. We use kind of rule of thumb of where you at least should have been, how much you're unlucky, and you see it very highly correlated in any of the divisions. But you'll occasionally see some outliers. There, David, we were talking about a little lower than they probably should have been as a result. But other aggressive players, Gabby down there in 23rd, that 69.8% participation rate, participation being call plus Ricci, and just all three at the bottom. Scott going for it, James going for it, and then Nathan and Aaron going for it.
Yeah,
no, Aaron
especially with, I was going to say, especially with these strong players who know how to build value super well, the high call rate is just going to leave you with less defense more of the time, and I think that caught a lot of players in B3 off guard.
A special shout out to Takahiro, who'd been stuck in B3 for a while. People had kind of expected him to just rise up the ranks, and he'd been hard stuck. But we'll get that promotion to B2 next season.
I kept asking him in club, if he had promoted, and the answer was just always no. I'm like, how? What are you doing?
Well, on to B2 for the next season, and hopefully more.
Glad he's finally out of my division.
And another name that comes to mind is William S., who's better known as Overlord Whale, I think also streaming right now. So definitely been in there a bunch, and I recognize some other names here on this list. TJ did really well at the DC Ricci Open last year. And any closing thoughts before you have some clips?
Oh, let's head right into the clips.
Clip it.
This is huge, so it's just the 5. Problem is, Elwin's got one hanging in the hands. Will probably drop 2 in basically every situation. Can't really think of one where something else would happen.
Come on.
If I'm Nathan, I might not. Oh, we threw it.
All right, it's Mongon. Didn't flip a door for himself.
Tuso is now door. That might be scarier to the other players on the table.
Because Tuso is door, that's where the 5 comes out.
Oh my!
That Khan allowed Nathan to win that hand. If the Tuso did not become Dora, the Tuso leaves the hand every single time. Wow.
That is something right there. So when I talk about the Rishi meta, this is what I'm about. Tactical Khan, and to make Dora look scarier than that 5-so. Although I guess, to be fair, Dora's Genbutsu to the only open player.
Yeah,
with 4 Dora, so.
We talk about good Khans and bad Khans a lot. In this case, it's a 5-8 weight where you're only winning on the 5s because the 8-so is dead, and that Khan turns your hand from South Dora 3 to South Dora 4, where if you flip 1 Dora, you can find a Hanuman. In this case, the Hanuman wasn't flipped, but did encourage the 5-so to come out instead, so this one definitely got rewarded.
I love it. I'm just like obsessed with it. I love this play. It's so cool.
Oh, but
also
be careful.
The extra draw is kind of nice because if you switch your Shampoo, it's probably better than this shape, honestly.
Yeah, with all those 8-so out. And I wonder if we're going to see more Khan nonsense in the next one.
No, I was going to say, Khan doesn't always work out.
Oh, no. Oh, just a casual, double Yakuman sitting here, potentially? Surely it'll never happen, right?
Pause it! That's the wrong person! He's never gonna drop this!
Oh, no!
There's no way!
No, our double Yakuman dreams.
Tragedy! There's a chance. There's still a chance. Barry's too strong. Barry's not gonna do it.
Oh, the 6th Dan knows how to pull. No.
Oh, no.
Please.
Blaine might be recognizing, thinking, okay, 8-pin is a pretty strong weight.
Okay. The South is a safe tile. No.
Each. And Ricci across the way. Oh, and the Foremon's drawn.
No, not the Foreman.
Does Blaine play defensively? What a read! How do you give up double Yakuman like that? That is one of the strongest decisions I've ever seen, and you can't do anything. Both tiles deal in. Barry draws it! And in the end, there was no choice but for Blaine to deal in, but what an insane hand that was.
Both tiles do in. You're like Hanagadonki, you dodge the amazing deal on the Apatsu, then you draw the other end of the Shampoo, you just throw your hands up in disgust. Your double Yakuman shut down. The wall just said no.
Yeah, Hidaka is kind of like the reverse idea of Sumo, where sometimes, no matter what your play is, you just draw the winning tile, and with Hidaka sometimes, no matter how good your instinct is, you just draw losing tiles.
And it's just an amazing dodge here. Like, I would have just shoved the first time it dealt into Ipatsu, because, the Foreman deals in. It's terrible, but it deals in. So I will break my double Yakuman Tenpai, and is correct. And the wall says,
even on the
no,
too.
You're not getting out of this one. No way. And the absolute, you could feel the despair when you look at draw that other 4. And they're both lit up. It's immediate doom.
Hey, I watched this live. I'm crying a second time over it.
Blaine, this was the first opportunity, I think, the first Tenpai for a double Yakuman in the league, correct? I can't remember a single other time where somebody had Tenpai for it.
Yeah, I think we've had an Ishan 10.
Yeah, I know Luce had an Ishan 10 for one. I was fighting for it at least. And then to see the pay come out from Barry's hand after it becomes safe. Oh, tragedy that Barry, who has all the incentive in the world to play defensively, drew the last one.
Mm-hmm.
Blaine, my heart goes out to you. You should have won this hand.
All right, I think we've got one more, though.
I guess unlikely that Khan takes the Khan.
Yeah, I'm less likely to Khan when the dealer has recheat, but sadly misses out on the reshun.
That 2 can be Khan too. Come on, drop the 2. Let's see some action.
Yeah, 3-4 came out. There's no way it's waiting on the 2, right?
Exactly.
All right, David, you know what to do.
Okay, Khan, come on, Khan.
Yes, no, that was close. The 7-so revealed to be Dora, so that adds 1 Han to Quinn's hand.
Oh gosh, this is gonna be a monster.
Yeah, when Ryan eventually gets the win here. There
Come
it is! Toy Sachiko Doku.
I guess unlikely.
So is important to note, this is B2 League. We did a little bit of skipping around. We gave you a little taste, a little preview of B2. But I mean, we got it for the fans, right? Doko? Would you say that's
With
a fan
extra
favorite?
cons,
Marmal?
The con there, shifting
Oh,
the
yeah.
drawer, getting everything. It's just sometimes you just draw it, and you'll love the Doko. We always love seeing that.
Sankansu Doko.
So
amazing and
Almost.
perfect.
There was a one on the wall
Almost.
for this. It could have been Sankansu Doko.
It's
Yeah,
very
it's
true.
right now just the pawn on the one mon, not the con.
Oh, I misread. Oh well, I wish it was.
Well, yeah, we all wish, but regardless, that's a clip. We got a lot ahead of ourselves.
Well, let's go.
But back to B3.
Yeah, now that we've introduced you.
Let's take a look at B2.
B3. Yeah, let's see. And whew, big league. Oh, Irie killed it this league. I should look at standings more. Let's go, Irie. Another DC native player. Long time or
46%
longest
call
streamer.
rate. Yeah, this is one of those divisions where those call and reach rate didn't really tell you much because you have Irie and Hanley with the higher than 40% call rates. And then on the other end, Quinn just barely surviving with that 45% call rate, and Dave going down with the 40. Just the only stat we can even see, even the EV isn't quite as correlated as it was in the past. You see Philip there, a bit unfortunate. Vikram also a bit unfortunate, although I believe Philip will be in a clip later we'll get to. But overall, just Irie, Hanley, Damien, Henry, and Greg managed to get those promotion spots. I believe Jay and Jen also got promoted due to some extra slots that opened, due to some hiatuses in B1. B1 next season will be different than you may be used to. We'll go over that when we get over there.
Yeah, I mean,
just overall, pretty solid play, aggressive. The thing that jumps out at me is for B2, the defense was there. You see there the division average deal in 14.1% as compared to league average 14.8%. So very defensive division. You don't usually expect that in the B2. You expect that more in the A1, A2 groups.
League's only getting better with time.
It was a pretty evenly matched league too. I mean, if you're looking at like EV spread, it was pretty tight knit. Like in the other leagues, you're seeing players with like a 900 or 1000 EV, like a couple players who really push ahead. But like, I mean, you're looking at the top 11, and they're all like pretty close together. Like I think this is probably the most competitive league for last season.
We joked about some of the other divisions being not so small. Well, this one had 28. And there were some swings.
Yep.
But that'll happen. Here, just some, again, the low deal-in rates not necessarily meaning anything. You have Hanley and Damien there near the top doing great, but 10, 11% with Michael, Dave, Vikram just not doing it.
And on the opposite end of that spectrum, Henry up there with a 15% deal-in fourth place.
So lots of different ways to play the game, lots of different ways to advance, and on the alternative, different ways to demote. Even with those low deal-in rates, a high win average. Dave C, one of the really stronger players, at least I thought going into the season in B2, takes a minus 158.7, and you see that 5,000 win average, not a bad deal-in rate, but just couldn't get enough.
Wow. Any final thoughts before we show people the insane, one of, if not the wackiest game of the season that was caught on stream?
Yeah, I'm just
I remember this one. Yeah, let's take a jump.
I'll shout out Irie. You were a blast to play with in Chicago. Can't wait to play with you again.
Too.
Yep. I suspect
very close.
I suspect Philip's probably on the defensive angle right now.
Yeah, probably. There's a good bit of threat. Oh no,
Suwako Tonki. Oh no! Whoa! There it is.
Talk about bad timing. Wow.
Yep. I suspect.
We didn't mention that, but we had our 2 pros in this division too. And here's Jen sniping a nice little Suanko Tonki. Surprise! The 7-pin deals in for 48,000.
Yeah, first overflow. I mean, you could have been a little scared with like Honitsudora or something weird, but like, come on, still.
Illegal, vicious play.
Don't worry, Jen wasn't done this game though. This was one of Jen's 2 absolute crimes.
Very interesting
crime scene.
Let's jump to the second clip. This game was big enough with a bunch of action. We got 2 clips for it.
And they're all held. Well, this is Tempai. But you don't really want to drop the 5, so the 7 will come out instead. Richie, Tanya, Dora 4. Or not Tanya, but Richie, Dora 4.
Tanya.
4? What? Look at those indicators.
What?
Imagine having a Hatsuanko as well. And Jen over 100,000. And they're all held.
So and you just see the 6 home out there. Jen running the score up, hitting the 100,000. Phil like, I'll take the Tempai. It's 1 chance. What's the worst that can happen? Well, dealer with 4, Dora, and the ability to flip more. Flips another 4, and Jen just rolling at this point. And if she doesn't have this game, her end score ends up being around ±0. This did get her a promotion eventually. I believe they said she got one of the free passes up to B1 next season, but just, ooh.
Oh my god, it's just so gross.
We don't even have a 4 emoji. There's no way to visually represent this.
That was round 3, and at that point in the season, after that game, Jen was looking very strong to promote and managed to hold out for that promotion spot.
And our 2.
Oh, maybe a Korok headset moment.
Yeah,
but it's
cable.
just
headset moment.
It's just still crazy. And I mean, again, super mattering. It's a whole different. Kayla gets that spot, even and again with how close the division is. +100 game like that, all it takes, or sometimes not enough.
You guys hear me now?
We can, yeah.
There it is.
All right, as you say, our 2 pros. We had Jen manage to get that free pass at 101 with a huge average win rate. Of course, we saw part of the reason why in those 2 clips. On the other end, Garth was just staving off demotion. Did okay really early in the season. It just fell off over time, but managed to hold on and will stay in B2 next season.
Yeah, I got to say the last session for B2 was incredibly dramatic with Jen and Kayla, and I think Josh and was up there in the mix. Tommy was in the 5th slot at one point. It was looking strong for them, and all of a sudden, that last session, everything changed dramatically. Philip ended up getting a little bit of a chance, and then didn't get the game he was looking for. Ryan had a chance, and also had a similarly unfortunate game. Blake had a chance, and even that game session at the end went a little bit awry. But for some players, the opposite was happening. Jay climbed the ladder and got there. And the big story, I think, is Greg, who was in the negatives going into the final round and had 2 monstrous games, like a +70 something and a +60 something in the first 2 games of the series, to just catapult himself into the promotion zone and managed to hold out in the 5th slot overall. So the final session B2 was insane.
Hell yeah.
And we talk about that EV stat, which tells you kind of how lucky or unlucky you are. No big ones, but the 2 that are over 800, neither promoted, with Josh and Alec.
There's the first 11 spots here in EV are so strange.
Yeah, like it's tight,
Just very little variance here.
It just shows how competitive B2, and as we get higher in the ranks, like every division just is so much better. Like compared to where the league started with only 4 divisions, now we're up to a monstrous C1, and everyone who has joined late is starting to climb the rankings. Everything is going to be even more and more competitive.
And that was originally one of the big reasons that ARMA was founded, is try and raise the player level, and it's looking that way. There is a lot more depth in ARMA than there was when it started.
Yeah.
All right, shall we hop into the B1 standings?
Now let's check out B1.
B1.
Oof.
Featuring
man
A1 to 2 talent.
A1 to 2 with
Christian
your favorite Nuho coming in.
There
One of them.
with that 8,000 average. That was down significantly from where it was earlier in the season because Christian hit 2 Yakuman.
Yeah, Christian.
Christian was the one who got the double. Yeah.
Well, actually,
and
yeah, was it?
No, I don't think Christian got the double. There was also a
Who
double.
got the double? I forget. Was that in the lower leagues? Did we forget to say
Travis.
that?
Travis from this division finished in 11th place. Was the last place player going into, I think, the 5th round of play. Mm-hmm. 5th session of play. Won a double Yakuman.
Even the 6th session, actually. I want to say Travis was heading in the 6th.
Yeah, dealer double Yakuman, 96,000 points. Shot himself up in the standings and managed to stave off demotion.
And it's Pio who dealt into that, and Pio never really recovered.
Yeah. I understand now.
Yeah.
That will definitely do it. But again, Christian with that average, like I say, that was down. It was over 10,000 for the majority of the season.
Jesus.
And everyone just sitting there drooling, wishing they could have the same thing.
That wasn't even the only Yakuman I know. Edwin also managed to pull one out. And were there any other Yakumans in B1 alone? It might be the division with the most Yakuman.
Maybe. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of weird players, you know what I mean? There's a lot of like high value will just play the Yakuman if it even looks reasonable.
Yeah, there were B1 tends to be one of the more swingy divisions. Even going back to last season, there have been a lot of situations where someone was doing great and they all of a sudden dropped down and got into trouble. Some people who were in the demotion zone then shot up. This season, one of the big stories was Eric D, who finished 6th overall, but if you saw the first half of the season, you wouldn't have expected that. It was a really rough start in the first couple of rounds, and then in the final 3 rounds, just picked up 250 points over 12 games to jump to 6th place. I think was awarded with one of the bonus promotion slots from B1 into A2 as a result. Just an incredible finish to the season.
We talk about B1 being swingy, and what's happened is there's kind of a meta for each league. And B1, you tend to have people who just build monster value, big hand after big hand for big hand, but the defense isn't always quite there. So if you can manage that defense pretty well, you usually do pretty well. And that's what we see here, those DLNs of the 10, 11, 12%. Most of them are near the top. The exception, of course, being Kaz, down there in 12th. But overall, you see a very strong correlation of that DLN rate and end position here. Of course, we haven't talked about some of the other players here. Wenshin, solid all season. Viet, of course, a Ho player that's been just climbing every season, managed to sneak into that last spot. I know was kind of desperate there towards the end, needed a good performance and got it. But at the same time, we have some others that just were doing really well and couldn't close it out, like Stanley there in 8th. Edwin, of course, league founder's been kind of stuck in B1, but I say next season, or this season rather, is B1 will be very interesting when we get to that. But just looking at these stats, nothing really jumps out other than just the spreads.
I had wanted to say something about Eric. He's a Chicago player. I think he's one of the best players in Chicago. I am not surprised to see that he recovered from that. And I hope he did manage to promote because I'd like to see how he performs.
No, Eric, I believe Eric and Christine, or actually I know Eric and Christine.
Yes.
Did promote.
Congratulations to both of them as well as everyone else.
Congratulations to them, but at the other end, the demotion line, Huang and Michael down to that last day. I believe the last game played was in B1, and they managed to stave off demotion here.
Very, very close.
I know what it's like to toe that demotion line. Believe me, it's not the best feeling, but to dig yourself out of it, nothing is better.
Now, I say people in B1 tend to build value, and you see that the division win average significantly higher than league average.
Yeah, and we'll, of course, be eagerly looking at the upcoming 2 divisions, A2 and A1, to see if that is similarly the case. But maybe we'll get a chance to look at a couple of the big wins with some highlights. Poll 10. Khan into Dylan.
No, Khan double rolled 7, so what is that? Oh no, Matthias.
That's Ricci Nomi, but this is the expensive one. And is that Clinton who benefits the most?
No.
It sure is.
The League of Double Runs sure was doing some funky stuff. I mean, imagine that. In reach, you call a Khan, you draw a Dora, you're like, uh-oh. Drop it and then see double run, and you're like, I mean, all things considered, like 1,200
could have been a lot
or
worse
10,400. Yeah, not bad for a double deal in on Dora.
So we always say Khan for flow. The problem is we don't say who gets the flow, and sometimes it's not you.
We were joking in the commentary at the time that Clinton was benefiting the most from this because right now Clinton is 4th place in the standings. But to be 4th in the standings, he had some insane games in this series alone and had just shot up from basically 0 points to plus 86 over the course of the last couple of games, one from this series and one from the previous series, and had just been on a tear, continued to be on a tear in this series. Clinton was absolutely on fire.
And you can just see on the right, we said Christian was running away with this division. You see it here. Sitting 90 points clear of the field and then winning this big hand too.
All right, I think we've got another one from B1.
The timing, this is max value. It's a double roll.
Double roll and on the
Ricci, Haku, Dora.
Dora
5!
We're not over.
Eric's not going to hit any Uda, but...
Oh no!
Pinfu, Sanshoku, Junchan, Dora. It's a Paimon.
You down to 2 Paimons. You just down to a Yakumon, basically.
That is so... Just the timing...
Yeah, random 1 pin. What's the worst that could happen? Well, surprise. Neither of these is like a Jinitsu hand either. Or a 5, though, will definitely ruin your day.
A 5 will help, yeah.
What was in that second hand?
It was the red.
Junchan Sanshoku.
Or Junchan San. Yeah, for that second one. Junchan
Sanshoku.
Pinfu and Adora. Yeah, so...
and this
double Baimon deal in, and you're feeling pretty good. And they say Huang was fighting down to the very end. And this is why. This hand was why.
And here we can see, I mentioned Eric's big comeback. You can see where Eric is in round 4, negative 82.3 in game 3 out of 4. So I had 10 games after this to make it up to plus 90. So it's almost 200 points in 10 games. This was definitely one of the games that helped him climb, though. And he had massaged that hand. You can see the 2-mon discard to sort of walk around this Ricci, playing Suji to the dealer Ricci tile, and massage this into a Junchan for the Baimon. Definitely one of the monster hands that pushed him there.
That's great. That's crazy. He's so good.
And we were talking about B1 building value. 2 Baimons, 1 hand.
That'll hurt your deal at average. You look at Huang, the 54-70 deal at. Well, that's not really so much his fault if that's part of it.
Right, dealer Ricci getting chased down by 2 other players.
Again, it's the random 1 pin. As I say, it's not going to be that bad, is it? Well, it can.
It's just a terminal. What's the worst that could happen?
All right, let's take a jump to A2.
You ready, Harrison? You ready?
Yeah, okay. Well,
whatever. I've been done with it for whatever. Yeah, go ahead. Let's ask. Let's address the elephant in the room.
All right. Well, we'll get to you in a little bit.
Yeah.
What we see here is near the top, we have a lot of the people that had demoted from A1 either last season or 2 seasons ago. Dustin, who'd been trying to get back into A1, was in the original A1 season, had been stuck in A2 every single season afterwards. We'll get that promotion now. Aaron just came down last season. Bishan was kind of expected to get out last season. We just had a rather standard plus-minus 0 season. I think the final score was +1, not enough to promote last season, but strings it together. And of course, that 7.4% deal-in rate for Bishan, very expected with how he plays. And you see big value all across the board here at the top. Steve, Dustin, Aaron, and even jumped down. John and Riley. John at plus 128.5, stuck in A2. It's just absolutely brutal. And then as we get down here,
a dumb season, man. This season, like 177 is the cut line. Like, come on, man. I was
Aaron,
like plus 60 going into session 6, and was like, I have to have a plus 70 to promote here. Ugh.
Aaron won the inaugural Chicago area tournament, and now is promoting to A1. So Aaron is just on a hot streak right now.
Yeah, Eric K., who won the inaugural Beta League season, the very first season of Armel, has been kind of climbing his way back. It actually demoted all the way down to B1. Climbed a couple seasons ago, took a hiatus, but will remain in A2. Of course, very volatile players, Ada and Rachel. And, of course, we mentioned the Saki Award earlier. So Harrison managed to get in here, snipe the .4, was in great position. And Will said, not so fast. Sneaks in with the .3 to steal it and just rip Harrison's heart out.
I'm beefing. I don't remember what week I play you, what session this season, but it's over for you. I'm targeting. I'm fucking dirty. I'm throwing low blows. I'm sending. I'm causing internet outages wherever. I don't remember where. I think you're Columbus or Chicago. I don't care. I'm doing it. I can't stand for this. I will take. You will rue this season. Ugh.
Will, I'm so proud of you.
Man, so messed up. I was like, man, after that last, I had a hard session 6. I was at like plus 60. I needed like plus 70 to promote from what I saw then. Turns out it was like plus 100 plus. And I said, you know what? At least I got the Saki Award, right? After having like a minus 60 session, and then someone just asked me over the weekend, hey, by the way. But I mean, yeah, thanks for the good news. It's gonna be a crazy. This is gonna be a hard A2 season though. We got, I mean, Viet, Brian, Clinton. I can't remember. We literally just looked at it.
We'll see it in a bit.
Christian, yeah. You came in.
And even the demotions here, we have Aldwin Q.
Aldwin,
absolutely forever.
Who got up and just promoted up.
Close it out in that last session. Eric, who's been a very strong player, but just couldn't get it this season. You look at the 19% win rate, and that's probably the reason. You got to win hands at 19%. When I'm down near that range, I'm always a little concerned. Low deal-in rate, but couldn't string it all together. Julian, of course, was the last person that did not get a promotion in A1 last season. Will go down to B1 as a result. Travis just goes for Ricci, doesn't call. And we never want to see those 0 in that first place spot. Travis had at least 3 games where it was just absolutely stolen from him that I saw. It may have been more than that.
It's like the ARML version of Yakitori.
And then Joshua, who dropped out of A1 last season, and this is kind of the way you can get to A1 and you can do well in A1, just high rolling everything, shoving everything, going for it, but eventually it catches up to you, and that's what's happening to Joshua here. Also gets punished in A2 and will drop down to B1 as a result.
I think something that you noted, Korak, is very relevant here. We saw in one of the other divisions that the low deal-in rate was a sign of success. As long as you stayed out of trouble, you had a pretty good position in the league. In this case, it's the win average. Up at the top is where you see the 20s. Down at the bottom, you see the teens. And it's not just good enough to not deal in A2. You also have to win enough hands to survive. And I think to some of the demotion slots, we have more defensive players who like to stay out of trouble. And if you're not getting a little bit lucky with the hands that you need to win, you have maybe a statistically unlikely season in terms of your win rate, which is, I think, certainly the case for Joshua here. Then it doesn't go so hot. And like Joshua is a very aggressive player, so it's very surprising to see a lower than 20% win rate. It feels like, I think you've mentioned this in the past.
Well, it's not from lack of trying.
Right.
27.4% deal rate. He was shoving everything.
Yep, that was how Josh was playing.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you're going to have a high dealer rate like that, it's got to be
one thing I will note about this division, though, is you had a lot of very closed build value, take advantage of the Ricci, get everything you want. It may be later than you may expect, but we will have value. You see that from that call rate, where league average 34%, already honestly on the high end for Akinashi, although we'll talk about that if we get to A1. But the division average in A2, 30.7. So more than 3% lower than the combined average for every other division. Like, this was closed. Shut up, sit back, build your value, and if you can't, you drop.
I'm looking at a couple things around this board, like John's 17.5% dealing rate just outside of promotion range. It's a very high dealing rate to do that well with high value wins. It's impressive.
Well, if you're at 23.4% win rate and a 6,200 average, you expect to promote, and you would expect to promote with a 128.5, but that just wasn't enough this season. A2 was cutthroat.
I'm also seeing ridiculous. A couple EVs in the 600s at 11 and 12, looking kind of out of place there.
Well, of course, we talk about Q sitting there with an almost 500 EV. Usually that's going to, in just about any division, that's going to put you near the middle. But here it's minus 100 and going down as a result. I mean, this was, people built lots of value.
Yeah, Q having the big dealing average must have been some unlucky hands in there.
Those average 41-43, so on the lower end of this
the lowest. Yeah, or one of the lower ones.
Nova says men's end league in chat.
Yeah, well, it was a men's
basically.
People were just stay there. Of course, there are multiple people on this who are just known for being annoying Dama players. Steve and Bishan, definitely near the top of that list. Not people I enjoy playing, but those I will have to deal with next season. And we have some clips for A2.
We sure do.
So we got one, right?
Absolutely. Let's take a look. He will definitely be recognizing the tempo here.
God, do you even play One-So? Four-So might be safer, honestly.
One-So, Four-So,
it's half Suji. Yeah. One-So's not on the board, and I'm like, nah, it's probably not Shanto with double 9, but Steve,
will deal in
50-50s and hits the Shabo for Baimon. Oh, and Ada's brought it all back.
Steve,
the Mahjong demons are favoring Ada, heavy on her shoulders right now. Oh my god. Yeah, Steve's just kind of unlucky on this one. Like, any way you look on it, it really is. You just have to throw the Four-So unless you're full folding out. With your dealer, like, you want to stop this big hand from taking your first. Like, One-So, you have Honroto, it's naked on the board.
Reading the player. Ada will build these big values, and I guarantee you, Steve is thinking that might be Honroto.
Exactly. There's no other One-Sos visible, too. So it's like they're somewhere. There's a good chance they're in Ada's hand. And it just so happens that Ada has, 4-8 Shabo. So right idea, just wrong.
But again, just people building value at A2. Yeah. If they're opening, they usually have the goods. And that's what's happening here.
Yeah, and totally, this is the first game of the season for this group in A2. Steve dealing into an early Baimon might feel like it's spelling trouble, and then just dominated the rest of the season and took first place overall in the division.
Man.
All right, well, let's head to A1. Okay, so the first thing that jumps out is no one got plus 100.
Yeah, these are.
We talk about other divisions.
I wonder if somebody stole
not
any
in this
points.
Division. This is a bare knuckle brawl in a bar. You're just punching and fighting and kicking, doing anything you can to just sneak out with anything. Dead last is minus 119.4. Just so much parity here.
With
the top EV,
EV
is Anthony at 7. No, it's Matthew at 745. Yeah. And you see a little more calling here than normal. Reach is about normal, but nothing just immediately jumps out other than just people fighting each other over and over. Parity was the word of the day. Of course, one thing that may jump out at you is there 19. There was a 20th person that was Sylvie who came in as a substitute after session 1 and had to take a bunch of points off the board, and the person that was the 20th also took some points off the board. But Lucas ends up being your ARML champion with a 96.3, although Matthew and me both got pretty close there towards the end.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, final session Mahjong. Korak had a huge couple of games to try to come back, fell a few points short. Matthew, I was in the series with Matthew. We both were trying to take the top slot, and in the final game, Matthew performed much better than I did and got very, very close. Was 2 UDA away from taking away first place, but whiffed on the UDA indicators.
All those third places for you, Nate. It's like death by 1,000 cuts there.
Yes.
So what do you want to talk about some of your 40K thirds?
Yeah, I had
since we're needling everyone in the booth.
At least 2 40K thirds. All season I said God. if the games were normal, if these were normally, average points, those would be first places. I'd be at the top of the league. But instead, I'm not even second place. I'm not even getting my +5 UMA. I'm getting +10 third places. I was so salty about that. But despite that, I was just happy to not be near the demotion line because it was so tight all the way through the season. I mean, everyone was playing extremely close for the majority of the season, and there for a while, it looked like the cut line was going to be -30 or even less.
Going into the final session, there were a grand total of 2 players who looked safe. Everyone else was fighting for the ability to stay in A1. It was that close the whole time.
And honestly, some of the
from the top to bottom of demotion range is only 40 points.
Well, so
yeah, I know.
Hey, classic.
Bye, Korak.
I know Korak's about to talk about the players who were going to be safe, who were looking safe. Like at the end of the session, Lucas and Vincent seemed to be the most secure in their position. They were 1 and 2 in the league going into the final session, and that's where things went wrong.
All right, let's try this again. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Boy, this might. So what I was saying is this is a bit misleading.
You're good. We can hear you.
Oh, the cable cut again.
Yeah.
Oh, no, not anymore. Yeah, how did that happen? Do you have the T on that while Korak's getting those technicals difficulty?
Yeah, it was a really tense series. Korak was the best person to talk about this because he was in the series with Vincent and Garrick, and I believe, who was the other player? Alex, perhaps? And things were not going well for anyone except for Korak. Well, they're going well for everyone except for Vincent, who was playing pretty normally and just getting the raw end of every exchange. Any Ricci got chased, would deal in, was getting sumoed out. I remember Korak winning a Baimon, Garrick winning a Hanemon, and all of a sudden you're in fourth place. You've got to fight for your hands, and things were not going well. There's a Ricci Ipats sumo Baimon sumo from Kevin, who was in danger of being last place to Gyakten first in one of those games and sent Vincent in even harder fourth place. It was just absolute tragedy, and he was second place overall in the division and fell all the way to the 15th. It was dramatic and almost unbelievable. Unbelievable.
All right,
unlucky.
let's try this again.
Hey, welcome back, Korak.
Yeah, so what happened was Vincent was pretty safe here. He was one of the, I believe, 2 people we thought.
Yep. No.
Oh my goodness.
Okay, well, don't worry, don't worry, Korak. It's okay. We heard it from Nathaniel.
I predicted in last season's pipe stream that Korak would win this division, and he came very close.
That's true. You're closer than my horse, that's for sure.
Who was your selection?
I was an Alex fan. I'll have to fan favorite, like a Bills fan. Actually, I might have to go Dustin just so he demotes from the curse. We'll see though. We'll get to that.
One that jumps out at me here is Zhu.
Oh, yeah, Will was pointing that out. Crazy stats.
16.5% win rate, 16.5% deal rate. Won as many hands as dealt in on. Just the spread was enough to barely keep him in, and that was good enough. Another thing we haven't talked about, I said A1 has some crazy pwn cats. How many people here are over 40%? on that call rate.
4, right? Or 5,
5.
excuse me.
And
all
Simon 5
very
of them
close.
stayed in A1.
That's nuts. I can't even imagine.
Yeah, Garrick was 67% participation. That's so high.
You see all these people with over 60. But 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them. People just going ham. That's just it. I said it was a bare knuckle bar brawl, and that's really what it was.
Pretty accurate. I mean, all players below 50% call rate didn't make it. And then even 2 of the 50% players also just fell to the demotion line.
Yeah, a couple big
Not on the other hand,
notes.
Lucas, a 52, however, was good enough to win the division. But you just see very different styles. It's unlike in A2 where you were given time to build value. In A1 we said, oh, hell no. No, not here.
One outlier aside, the total spread of EV was under 400.
That's, not surprising given how close the lines are. That makes a lot of sense, actually. Good point.
With the exception of Alfred, I believe. But yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No, and just A1 was brutal. And the other thing I'd like to point out is my own dealing rate. Last season, I had the 6.9% nice dealing rate. Nice. This time, I had it backwards, the 9.6% dealing rate.
Not quite as nice. Then your participation rate, you got 69 with a pillow in between. That's also not nice. I'll pull my head out of the gutter now.
Okay.
Well, so the other thing is, my style particularly is kind of alien to everyone else. Because I'm sitting here with the only 18.6% win rate, which if we've seen in every other division generally gets you demoted.
Right.
Yeah, well, I mean, when everybody's kind of knows what's going on up at the top too, I feel like meta, it's very dependent. Like A1 and now A2 is getting that way where it just, like, it's its own league separate from everything. You know what I mean? Like when you get to the top, you really, really have to play differently.
Sylvie like A2 to never play an A1 again.
I do want to point out 2 things, though, in terms of the demotion zones. One is that there were scheduled to be 6 demotion slots in A1, but due to hiatus situations, one was rescinded. So Simon, who currently appears to be demoting into A2, is actually ended up being barely safe there. And the second thing is, these demotions were insane. The A1 League Championship curse struck twice, taking out 2 league champions, Kenyon and Luz both demoting, taking their vacation in A2. Hopefully we'll see them soon, but it makes me very uncomfortable, and I'm sure Lucas as well. We're next on the chopping block for the A1 curse.
Oh no.
And on the
if it's anything like last year,
the Ultimate Survivor stats, people have been in A1 from the start. We lost another one. We lost a player from that group. We've been in every A1 season, every season since Armel started. And now we're down to 2. The only 2 people that have been in A1 from the very start are Max and me. So obviously one or both of us will go down.
That is the way it's going to happen. And we're going to get a chance to see what the pairings are like in the next seasons, that we can sort of predict that. But before we do that, we've got a couple highlights from the A1 division.
Yes.
Another Mon draw here. Wow. And here's Tempai. Okay, so Tempai 3-5 pins. So what is call here? Now this, I think it's just 9 Montonki. And it comes out. Wow. Shinitsu Dora 3 Baimon. And that will shoot Jowser right after first place. And looking like another pain.
Really?
Wow.
Really?
First session Joe. I remember watching
garbage.
That. You had to pick this clip?
I am still scarred from that.
Korak and I will
I
never
didn't
recover.
Take the brunt of it.
Yeah, at least you weren't the one who played that 9-mon, Korak.
It was. I was about to drop.
Chonky.
It was so silly.
Of course, from that point of view, it was one chance, but it's the 9. And it's like, it deals in. What on earth does 9-mon deal into? Oh, it's just Chinitsu. Joe had broken away from Tempai to go for the Chinitsu E-Shunt and opens the door, waits on Hellweight 9 Montonki, and it just comes out as it's safe against the dealer Ricci, and surprise, there goes 16,000. Now, Andre from that first session ended up taking about a minus 130.
Yeah.
And still managed to survive.
He only discarded terminals and honors and then won on a terminal.
Yeah, it's so insane.
Yeah.
We all paused and just wrote in chat what just happened. It was crazy. We were absolutely dying. And Andre, props to Andre for coming back after that rough first series. Joe also did well to hang in the season. And I think you and I, Korak, were both feeling just happy to be alive after this series ended.
I was a bit annoyed because it took about a minus 25 or minus 30 of that series. But then I looked at what happened to Andre. I was like, you know what? Screw it. It's fine.
All right, let's see if we've got another. Is it going to be another Joe Flow clip? What's going to be our second one?
Might get held. Is that Tenpai? That is Tenpai. 8-9 Shabo.
Kevin
fights.
It's
going to be taken by Kevin. I mean, Shu isn't folding.
5 okay. So 1 left in the wall. Not 8 5. So 2 left in the wall.
8 so could be double run on Daisongen. Close reach.
Daisongen and Ricci Door 1.
How that ever comes out, I have no idea, but
we have Daisongen Tenpai. Now you almost wish you were on the 447 Mon wait. Oh, there it is! No, you don't!
Oh, stop!
Daisongen for Shu. Miraculous hand here. And Kevin looks at that and says, that was my weight!
Kevin goes, it should have been. Might get held.
Yeah, just casual Daisongen.
Hell yeah.
And you see here,
third white.
Yeah, just so I say it all the time. And Ju needed this. If Ju didn't get this, he probably ends up devoting.
Yeah, had a very volatile season, but started off super well. I think finished was plus 150 after the first 4 games were completed with this Daisongen win. Very close to 150, I believe, 130 maybe.
I mean, honestly, I think you just got to be glad that if you were in Reach or nobody else dealt into this, because this is like a Ryanman too, right? It's not even like a bad Daisongen, right?
But yeah, on the left there, it's that Shampoo and 8-9.
Well,
it's like, yeah, it's not going to feel that bad. You know? Well, yeah. Well, the thing is, you throw the 8 deal to double row, then you're like super sad.
Yeah, I was just gonna say,
just explode.
And you know, I didn't realize it, but that was Lucas taking the dealer Oyakabudi 16,000 payment.
Oh wow!
And it looks like Lucas, after eating that payment, is going to take a 4th here, but managed to stave that off and actually went the entire season without a 4th place until the very last final game.
Yeah, that was messed up, whoever did that.
The person who did that to Lucas also stole away my perfect season as well, so they're very good at that.
Oh, wow. We had a hitman in A1. That's crazy.
Hitwoman. Yes. I know who did that one.
And she'll be in A1 again this season, so it's going to be quite a fun battle once again.
But I just want to go over again that A1 just has so many varying styles. You have fairly Ricci heavy. You have the hyper calling Polecat style, very defensive versus very aggressive. You see some 17% dealing rates here too. The win percentage almost means nothing when you look at it compared, because you have Garrick and Simon there, both managing to barely stay in, but in the negatives.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy. Everything here is crazy.
Well, that being said,
one for you.
The dealing rate of 6.7% is crazy, and lowest average. How dare you?
Yeah, if you're not going to win big hands, at least don't deal in. Very strong performance from Lucas. And will be exciting to see what happens in the fall season. We've got pairings up. Games have already started. I can't wait to see what everything's going to look like. And we've got the pairings for the upcoming season for you. It is going to start out with the C Leagues, I think. Let's take a quick peek.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Nice EV.
So,
all right. Well, I can't read any of that, so I hope you can. But the important thing is we have 40 people in C1. We don't have a beta league. We have a conditional demotion. If we get an expansion to C2 next season, there will be a few people going down. But the thing to note is there are 10 tables, 40 people, a mad scrum of just beat up on everyone else and hope that's good enough.
Good luck in the mud pile, everyone.
Yeah, I had such a hard time trying to fit this onto the screen because there's just too many people in C1. It is going to be an absolute blast to watch everybody. We have some of the players from C1 last division who are who didn't get the promotion will be staying here. We have a lot of new players who are going to be very exciting to watch. A few names that I recognize. A few names that I recognize from the recent Chicago tournament. Of course, and Cincinnati Midwest tournament as well. Is there anybody that stands out? I know it's a little hard to see, but from the newcomers you've seen enter the Discord recently?
We got to talk about it. You know, I got some DC natives, Adam Corzant, Justin too. Justin Wong, not the fighting game player, but still swagged out, and you better believe that. But I think one of the biggest names coming in is, I think every season now we just got to have one. We got a Ho-Oh in here. Brian Wen, if I'm reading that correctly. The text is a little small for me, but was 8 Dan. I think I heard earlier in the general drop to Ho-Oh. Just 7 Dan.
Yeah, it did drop to 7 Dan, but yeah, just casual 8 Dan walking your game. Won't be the first 8 Dan in Armel. We did have Kazi or Austin in the Ann Arbor Beta League, but would be the only 8 Dan in Armel now.
That's right. Looking forward to watching him play in Armel for the first time. I've seen him play in the IORMC qualifiers. Look quite good there. A couple other names that I'm interested in. Benjamin Ebisuzaki. I remember playing against him and...
Oh, Ben's in here too. Yeah. I forgot Ben joined. Another DC native.
He played in the finals of the last Cincinnati tournament, which I believe is another rendition of that's coming soon in November, but was very exciting to watch those finals. I recognize Sky from PML, who also played in the finals recently of the Chicago Open, the Chicago Area Ricci tournament.
Oh, yeah.
It'll be a ton of fun to watch Sky play this season. She's an awesome player. And a bunch more players here who I remember watching a little bit from C1 last season, who I'd like to continue to observe. Of course, Michael and Alex, who's been very active in the chat, posting games, reviewing, preparing. Looking forward to seeing Alex play this season, and a whole ton of people who I remember from some of the earlier renditions, earlier seasons, who have found themselves in C1. Can't wait to see how the season goes for them. Oh, Oliver K. I remember playing against him in Chicago, and he absolutely dominated our table. Just won continuously on his dealership. Finishes like plus 75. It was awesome to see. Can't wait to see him play this season in C1. So I've got a lot of people I've got my eyes on.
I remember hearing about that table.
It was insane. It was awesome.
And by insane, you mean a salt provider.
Well, I couldn't be too salty. It was it was a lot of fun. All right. Anything else from C1, or should we move on to B3?
Talking about local players, hoping Tom can get out of C1 here.
Yes.
Ed didn't have a great season last time, offered to go over some games, but we'll see how that goes this season.
Absolutely. And just in general, for anyone who's new to the division, if you want to get your game reviewed, absolutely, you can share it, different decision points in What Would You Do channels. You can share the whole log, and there are lots of people out there who are more than willing to take a look and see if they notice anything that they can give you tips on.
We'll hop in voice chat with you and review the game turn by turn.
Absolutely. That's a Korak special. After every one of his games, he will hop into voice chat and go over his thought process. I love to hear it. I've learned so much from it. I've also been trying to do the same thing, just to be able to talk over my thought process and see how it differs from others and see if I can learn anything. It's definitely a great way to hear different perspectives and try to improve.
Let's check out B3.
B3. What do we got going on at B3?
So slightly smaller division here.
Was in C1 too. God, there's so many people.
Oh, you're right. C1. But yeah, Ricky, Adam, Garrett, Elwin. I'm seeing my clubmate Kevin D. Tomas, who just promoted from C1. Tara and Nathan, who Tara promoted as well. Nathan, who I remember playing recently IRL. Michael, Blaine, James, Jeffrey. Oh, David's still here, but I remember we were looking at those stats and seeing that maybe had a little bit of an unfortunate season as his EV was very high. Eric, one of the Erics, ends promoted. Jacob, Overlord Whale, still here. Yeshu, promoted as well from C1. And Nancy promoted from C1 as well. So a decent number of these.
Don't forget Ray.
And Ray, of course.
DC local, let's go.
A decent number of these players were recent promotees from C1, so they'll have some knowledge of each other. However, remember that some of these players came out from C1A, some of these came out from C1B, so those wouldn't have played each other. It will be interesting to see them face each other for the first time.
And you have some that were in B3 last season and some that came down from B2. So a whole bunch of new players here will be playing against each other. A couple of names that jump out at me are Zhongyu or Unlock, definitely known in the Mahjong Soul community for a while. And, of course, Blaine, who is an ARML regular, has been in the commentary booth with us several times before. Definitely a flashy player.
Yeah, Blaine of that double Yakuman Tenpai fame that we saw earlier in the highlights.
All right, let's take a look at B2. B2 is cursed. For a B2, this is easily the strongest B2 we've ever had.
Yeah, that looks about right. There's so many just long time or just insanely strong players who are here. There's, Pio, Garth, Tucker, Alon, Kevin, Kayla's been doing good. Sichuan,
yeah, Tucker and Kayla in the same division. They're partners, so they'll definitely they'll be very interested in their matchup should they get one.
And of course,
Philip,
who I should point out, maybe this is a good time for it. Philip recently qualified for the Team USA IORMC team, so we'll be exciting to see him playing in that, and we'll hopefully be promoting from B2 as well. Always exciting player to watch.
Blake in this league too.
Yeah, Gaohan's in
There's so many people everywhere.
Anya, Alon.
Anya, yeah.
Kevin. Of course, we talked about Ho player Garth.
Yeah.
You got one of your JFL pros in this division. All I'm going to say is have fun, guys.
Yeah, I mean, former A2 players,
and a
B1
snake
players,
ladder too.
Tokucho,
oh my god,
Hoos,
it's going to be tough.
Pros, it's insane. Good luck to everyone who's in this division.
You're going to need it.
All right, let's take a look at B1.
Now, we've been teasing the utterly cursed B1 division. And you'll note there are, well, once it comes up anyway, there are 4 tables.
Forgot about that. A very small B1 this season.
So what actually happened is we had, I think, 8 hiatuses in B1 or 9 in B2. It was a ridiculous number. So Edwin's like, I don't know what to do with it. So we'll just shrink B1 for this season specifically. But you look at that list, you have some very differing styles. Of course, Edwin himself, very call heavy, low on the reachy, but very occult style. And then a lot more by the book from someone like Sarah or Stanley. Of course, Jen did get extra promotion. Of course, see right now actually sitting in 15th with -10 after 2 games, a first and a fourth. They say some of these games are going on as we speak. Irie, of course, won B2 division last season, looking to get a nice string there. Julian, who dropped out of A2 last season, but season before was just out of qualification for A1. So, bunch of very interesting players. Of course, Jay from PML has been trying to get it together and climbing slowly as well. I think we'll have a very interesting matchup with some of these players.
I forget, was Jay? Oh, we forgot to call out Philip too. Philip qualified for IORMC. Was Jay?
We did call that out.
Yeah, Jay is another one of the players who's going to be in IORMC. Congratulations to Jay, who absolutely dominated the first 2 series. Had the top score, or almost the top score in both. and barely got edged out for the top score overall in terms of single session performance. But Jay had had an excellent performance and will be one of the IORMC team members.
It's okay, Harrison. You're at least as reliable as my mic. Wait.
Hey, see, I'll take that. We take those. You get on commentary, you talking through. I'll do it.
I will say there are the players in this B1 division who have very distinctive play styles, either very defensive, very offensive, or very unique. Cough, Edwin, cough. But it is going to be very interesting to see how these play styles line up. And of course, a few of the players are just standard. So will the standard players have an edge on the players who lean more defensively or offensively, or will the unique playstyles have an advantage in trying to counter someone who does something that's considered to be standard? It's going to be very interesting to see how it plays out. I cannot wait.
I'm curious about the uniqueness of Edwin's playstyle, but we can talk about that later.
No, absolutely.
I'll just say a cult and move on.
If you
2 words, a cult and Chitoitsu. So 2 things that are already cursed.
Yeah, or Suwako. You did get a Suwako this season, but if you get a chance to watch any of the games of his that were streamed, a lot of them from the early portion of the season, early half of the season, were streamed. Definitely, you'll see a taste of that.
But he got a Yakumon or Sanbaimon or something in Chicago too.
Yes, he did a Suwako Tonki in Chicago as well.
Jeez.
All right.
Suwako power activated.
Let's take a look at A2 division.
Hello.
Now, 24 people, so of course we had B1 with 16. A2, on the other hand, has a big bunch. And of course, you see there, Harrison, what do you think of this division?
Just God, anything but like minus 300s and like plus 177 promotion lines. I mean, I think I'm gonna have a really fun season. It's gonna be hard, right? It's A2. But it feels like there are some big hitters. You have your Luce, you have your Kenyon, you have Viet, who's been on the come up. You have some very, very seasoned higher level players. You have Alfred, who just got out of A1. But I think it's going to be fun. I think it's going to be a bit of a slugfest. But I think my prediction is it's going to be kind of tight. I think it's going to be the season to watch this season. It's my prediction.
Yeah, I feel bad for everyone in A2 in terms of the people who dropped from A1 into A2. They're going to give you a ton of trouble, I think. And so
getting Kenyon and Luce was pretty brutal for anyone going to the division. And at the same time, Fiat climbing. So we also have some other people that are coming off hiatus from A1 demotions. Haru and Zalong. Vincent, of course, been in A1 multiple times. So this is when you're getting towards the top, you're going to recognize some of those names. Of course, Will, very analytical player there as well. Wenchin's been performing incredibly well. We talked about Christian hitting Yakumon after Yakumon. I mean, that's one way to promote.
I'll say a third of this division has played in A1. At least one season in A1.
And on the other hand, we have some absolutely crazy players with Rachel and Ada, probably 2 most volatile players in all of Armo here. So there should be some wild swings.
There are 100% going to be some fireworks in A2.
Love it. Love it very much.
Well, it's on for session 3 for me too. I'm saying it right now. If I lose out 1-1 score plus minus in that, I'm doing a punishment game. Right. I might eat a Carolina Reaper. I'll do something zany if I lose to Will. It's not happening.
Session 3.
I don't care how much I'm gonna trade. I don't care how little Yakuza I gotta play in the next 2 months until the next month. I will best Will. After that injustice last season,
we'll make sure
loss of my Saki award.
Okay, mark down week 3, table 6. It's going down.
And that brings us to
the other one
division.
Mention is John, who had that plus 120 last season, didn't promote, so he's still going to be here around and just tough. That's how I describe this. The level of play in Armo has definitely gone up, and you can see that very clearly in A2.
Yeah, just A1 strong hitters.
Correct. What are your thoughts?
All around.
All right, now we're in A1. So, of course, you see most of the same people. We got some promotions with Peter, Steve, and a few others here. Bishan, of course. Aaron's back. So my feeling is we won't have, even though all the Pawn Cats in A1 stayed in A1 last season, I feel there's going to be a lot more defensive than the previous seasons, a little slower, because a lot of people, they're just going to slowly build their hands up. The question is, will we be able to shut it down and continue the Pawn Fest? There's been a joke going on for a long time that in C1, you'll just see a bunch of stupid cons, and in A1, you'll also see a bunch of stupid cons.
That's how it is. It's like
I
a
say
bell
that
curve.
as someone that has won Sun Kansu in A1, and the responses varied from "what the fuck" to "what the fuck."
Yeah, definitely. Will be exciting. I mean, especially if you're building closed hand, you get that con, follow that up with a Ricci, and boom, you've got the scariest hand at the table all of a sudden.
I see multiple people who are in the finals and semis in Chicago.
There's so many strong players all the way around. Just some crazy people.
Yeah, different styles. A1 feels a lot more about who you're playing and how are you adjusting to it than any of the other leagues, because the skill difference between the top and the bottom isn't that big in A1.
Yeah, I guess to that point, Korak, is there any one table that you're really interested in playing that you think is a fun matchup? Or
fun matchup? No, I want a curse table 2. I hate my table 2 matchup.
Who you got? Let's see.
It's Bishan, Peter,
Minko.
Bishan, Peter, and Minko.
Yeah, Peter.
So Bishan and Peter are just going to sit there, build monster after monster, and Minko and I are going to try and dodge it and see what happens.
Yeah.
Like, that does not sound fun, but that's definitely the most notable of my tables. That's one that's either going to be amazing fun to watch, or you'll fall asleep from turn 1 and I'll die.
Like Pink Yoshi says, his first table could play at PML this week. Got Bishan.
We're doing that, playing the IRL.
Yeah, Bishan shoot Oliver. That'll be a fun one. That is like West Coast plus Max.
Yeah.
I'm really looking forward to my Session 5 matchup with Claire, Aaron, and Minko. Is Minko just always at the tables we're scared of?
Fun ones.
Definitely players.
Minko just brings scary energy to the tables.
Yeah, players who I've played a bit in the past, and just
oh my god,
the weirdest things happen in these games. I just don't know what to expect.
Nate, your 5th table.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I mean, let's be honest.
I mean, that's A1.
No, scary.
Yeah.
Yes.
A1. No fun tables. The higher you get, the less it's GLHF, and it's just GL. Ain't no fun to be had. Yeah, just fear.
Yeah, there's nothing here looks easy. That's for sure. Are we gonna make picks for our winner again?
Yeah, we have about 4 minutes left, so pick one person you think will win the league and one person that might be a surprise demotion.
I will go with Light Pink Yoshi for my pick this year or this season. Surprise demotion, that's not fun. I gotta pick someone to demote.
Sure it is. We want to build up your bad karma.
That's right.
I don't want bad karma.
You have to place curses on others.
Let's
say you just pick me. That's the obvious answer.
Someone who will forgive me. Yeah, that's it. I picked you to win last season, so I'll pick you to lose this one.
Well, if the pattern keeps up, it's either me or Max, so 50-50 if we keep things up. All right, Harrison.
I mean, listen, my horse last season didn't quite get there, very middle of the pack. I'm sticking. I'm a home team, not a home team favorite. I'm never picking Dustin. Absolutely not. But if the league, Dustin's my surprise demotion, if you want to call it a surprise. Because if I have to see somebody do well who said the phrase, the world record holder of Sanso adjacent theory, and saying that, I'm going to go insane. But my horse for first, I'm doing it again. Alex, very, very close, very trappy, kind of weird, catch you off guard play style from the one time I've played against him. And I think especially with like how Korak was saying, a lot of closed, kind of sit in the backhand type players who came up to A1. I'm feeling it. This is Alex's season. Going to do very well with this group.
All right, Nathaniel.
Well, I think the horse for the lead, definitely there's only one choice. It's got to be Korak. I mean, Korak has been so close all year long. Probably should have gotten there already at the top, and has been, what, second place, third place consistently. It almost feels like Korak's figured out how to play A1 and just consistently be at the top. So it feels like this is going to be the season for Korak. And then surprise demotion would be Korak, because if he's not getting first this season, then the curse will definitely occur.
That's funny.
Oh my god. You're the first or your last, buddy.
Yeah, I mean, that does feel like how it is. Again, I play a very aggressive style. It's very call-heavy open, and it's liable to a bunch of crazy swings. I'll say my surprise, my pick for the champion is going to be Aaron. I think he's shown relative consistency. He's making it back to A1. I think he does reasonably well in the current meta in A1 and may be able to adjust a bit towards the more closed style that we're kind of expecting this season. And the surprise demotion, ooh, that's kind of interesting because I'm going to throw Matthew out there. Second place last season, had just kind of hung around, not really in any danger any of the particular seasons. This might be about the time to drop.
Wow.
Get shaken a little unsteady and then kind of get swallowed in the fires at A1.
I'm not surprised by the Aaron pick, even though he's just promoted into A1. After the victory in Chicago, I'm like, oh yeah, that makes sense.
I mean, Aaron's done well in A1 before.
Yeah, Aaron joined A1, has been a very consistent player. Only took a small vacation to A2. Would also not be surprised to see him do quite well.
Of course, first he'll be cheering to demote for his Max, but that's because I want that Survivor title. But that's a personal grudge more than anything else.
Oh, don't worry. You guys will both demote now, so you guys can, we're
both fully expecting. We're going into the season assuming we're going to demote, which is how you have to approach A1 anyway.
So a lot more people than expected picked for both top and bottom.
Yeah, hopefully.
All right. Well, we are at the 90-minute mark, so I think we're going to wrap it up here. Any closing thoughts? Let's go around the table. Harrison.
Listen, I would love to say I'm going to be the GOAT. I'm going to be the DC to get in A1. Dustin already did that. Yakuza's coming up, so this may be a bit of a stay in A2 season from me, but hey, that's why I get in the booth, baby. That's how we bring it. It's going to be wacky, zany Mahjong last season. We're staying wacky. We're staying zany. The most insane in the brainy Mahjong 2 seasons in a row. I'm calling it out now.
All right, Brett.
I share a similar level of excitement. I am taking a hiatus this season. My life's been a lot busier, but that to me feels like more opportunity to commentate, which I truly love every moment of, and I'm looking forward to being able to do that more, even though I won't be playing.
All right, Nathaniel.
Oh, the season's going to be really awesome. The quality of the players in the league keeps increasing as we get more and more people. The amount of work that Edwin has to put into to keep hang on things gets higher and higher. So I want to make a big shout out to the admins and personnel assistants who are doing so much work to keep this league running, and shout out to the people who keep joining the league. I don't know where y'all are coming from, but it's really awesome to see you here. It's going to be an awesome season. And I also want to make one more quick shout out. I want to finish out the IORMC team. I know we mentioned a couple of the names. We mentioned Jay is making it there from B1, Philip from B2. Jeremy, a former A1 player, is not in the league currently, but Jeremy has been a consistently strong player for Team US in the IORMC. And also Will from A2 has made the team with a miraculous run in the final session. So good luck to Jay, Jeremy, Philip, and Will representing Team USC in the IORMC coming soon in November.
All right, then I guess I'll close out. We're seeing just ARML as a whole getting bigger and better every season. When it was started, we were at, I believe, 62 or something like that. And the answer is, we may be able to hang around for a couple seasons, but it's not like we're going to have a whole bunch more join. And we just get sign up after sign up. And we're now 140 plus strong. League's in a great position. And at the same time, people are getting better. We've talked about even down in B2. That division is just cursed. I wish anyone in that division luck, because that if it's that deep, that tells you where the American play is going. It's in a great direction. And to those who are in A1, just survive. To everyone else, climb and advance. So with that, I think we'll just wrap up here. This is when we plug our socials, etc. Twitter or X, if you really believe that, and YouTube at American Ricci. And you should see all that stuff coming up on the screen. There it is. And so for Brett, Nathaniel, Harrison, this is Korak. Wishing everyone a good night and a good season as we hit fall 2023.